Today, let's talk about how to get 6K cleanups and $2,800 per month clients. So today we're going to be celebrating how my student CJ got a client who paid $6,000 for the cleanup and then is paying $2,800 per month for ongoing services. We've been working together for about 7 days. Now, the reason why this is so significant is because like when I first got started, I thought the most money like someone would be willing to pay me was like $450. If I would have known that you could charge someone way more money, it would have made it a lot easier for me to grow my business. See, a lot of times what happens is most people think that you have to start off like charging a small amount of money. And today I'm going to really be talking about like why it's a fallacy and like why you need to start being unreasonable in order to go and get the goals that you're set out for inside of your business. Now, if you're watching this thing live with me, write down hashtag team live. Okay, I'll make it a little bit more interactive. On days when I notice like maybe like a month end, a lot of times like people aren't as active on these, but on the ones where they are, I just make it a little more interactive. I'll like talk more. I'll ask you guys questions. I can answer some of your questions. If you're watching this thing on the replay, write down hashtag team replay. I'll be sure to give this to you as well. Now, why do I have a bow and arrow? I'm actually going to be talking about this throughout the video and basically what I've learned from becoming a bow and arrow kind of person recently. So, number one, in order to start getting higher paying clients and just clients in general, you have to start becoming unreasonable. So, when I say becoming unreasonable, a lot of times what happens is most people think that you have to start from the bottom. I had a person I was speaking to today, and she, has a really good amount of experience inside the industry. And I'm not saying you have to have experience in the industry. I'm going to just follow me where I am without like, casting judgment on what I'm saying. But number one, the person had experience, but she said, like, I don't know if people are gonna want to work with me because I'm new. Like what do I kind of have over someone who, has been in this game for a little bit longer and it's just has more clients than me. Like I have no testimonials or nothing. I'm like, it takes being unreasonable to understand that like it's not always about the number of clients you have. Sometimes people want to work with people who have a new business because they believe you're gonna actually like care more, right? Sometimes what happens like with a lot of these like CPA firms, just different firms, the bigger the firm gets, the worse their support gets, and they're unable to really like take good care of their clients. So actually work with you, a newer firm, because they actually, want to get like communication and they want people to actually like talk back and give them like analysis and just like be there for them. Also, if you've been watching any of our videos in the past, I forgot to say this before, and maybe you want some help growing your business, but like maybe you're either like you haven't started because like you're just kind of thinking about it and you want to like avoid a lot of mistakes that cause people to fail, or maybe you've been trying to grow your business for any amount of time, but it's just not going at the speed with what you want. If you want help, go ahead and click the link inside the description either above or below. Book a call, see if one of our paid training programs can be the best next fit for you, right? Because one thing for you to watch like a lot of videos, but when you pay for a course and when you actually get around people who are a little bit further ahead than you, it causes you to have kind of this fire under your butt that causes you to go and make more money a lot faster. That's just kind of what's worked for me and what I've seen. Like I was telling a person today, over the last 3 years, I've spent $150,000 on mentorship programs. So like that means like coaching programs, HR programs, just different things I needed to like buy in order to like build my business, like learning how to hire people better, right? Learning how to do marketing, learning how to do advertising, learning how to do sales. I've spent money on all that stuff, right? Because that's the way that you grow your business. You spend and keep investing to learn new skills, to be able to grow yourself. And when you grow yourself, you're able to go and grow your business. So if you want to learn more about that, click the link either above or below the video. Now, following up with unreasonable, okay? Sometimes what happens too is some people might say like, Bryce, how can I ask for, like someone to pay me $28,000? I mean, outside of my job, I've never like asked someone to give me money. Like, am I even allowed to do that? Can I even do that? It's like, you have to be a bit unreasonable to believe that someone is willing to pay you that. Like the first time like I charged someone like $20,000, there was no reason why the person should have paid me $20,000. Outside of the fact that I was asking for it. So I mean, if you really you can argue, it's like the reason why the person should have paid me that much money is because I asked for it, right? If you ask for it, you deserve it, right? Now, if you're willing to put in the work and like if you're willing to do what it takes to go and actually like fulfill on that client and make sure like even though they're paying you a lot of money, like you're treating like the best client you possibly can, then yes, you do deserve that money. And it's okay. Like maybe you've never made six figures in your life. Like it's okay. right? Part of why you start a business is because you're expanding the ceiling, or you're like really taking the ceiling off of your earning potential. But you have to believe and you have to be crazy enough that it is possible for you to be able to go and do it, right? Because most people, what's going to happen is they're gonna, they say they want to start a business. They, have really, really good intentions, but as soon as they actually go out and start talking the market, they kind of remember, like, in a lot of like people's lives, like maybe they haven't, reached all their goals, or maybe like, things that are there, or maybe like people have kind of treated them badly in the past, and it causes them not to really go out as hard and as like fast what they probably should. But really, it's like it's okay to like kind of go out there. It's okay to mess up. Like, give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to try things out, to like ask people for money. That's another thing, right? So in order for you to be able to get a client that can afford that, and we'll talk about marketing in a minute, part of that is sales, right? Like, there's a lot of people that's like, I don't like sales. And it's like, well, I understand, like, some people might think that selling equates to being like a used car salesperson, where you're like, selling people stuff they don't actually need, or something that they don't actually want, and you have to use like a lot of pressure. But if this is something that someone is coming a consultation call for you, like to learn if you can help them with accounting, bookkeeping, they have given you permission to hold them accountable to what they say they want. Like, oftentimes, like, you'll see business owners, like, they'll have like 8 to 10 employees. They'll be making, 150 to $300,000 a month, and they'll be like, yeah, I don't know if I can pay you $500 a month. It's like, but you've been saying for the last 45 minutes why you need a bookkeeper, why you need someone to help you with your accounting, and you're not willing to pay, $500, but you're making 300K per month, right? It's just like, you need to be able to logically hold them accountable and be able to actually like go. And again, it kind of comes back to being unreasonable, right? How can you tell a millionaire, like, like that, hey, you are operating wrong, and you need to actually go and think of it like this, right? That's audacity. That's being unreasonable. Like there should be no reason why you should, but that's what it takes in order for you to be successful. And also, you got to remember, like, it's okay to sell hard. Like, sometimes what I hear like people say is like, I don't want to feel pressure, or I don't want to pressure people. It's like, well, one, if you're talking to someone who's like, making, $10 million a year in top line revenue, they don't feel the same kind of pressure that someone that's never started businesses. So a lot of people think that, like, the way that they want to be sold to is the same as how other people want to be sold to. And it's like totally not different, right? Because oftentimes what happens is like when you're starting out, if you, and I'm sorry, I had some gum in my mouth, not my fingers, but oftentimes most people have a really warped view of what sales actually is. So like, I don't want to pressure people, but really what they think is pressure is like maybe like yelling or trying to force people to do what they want, when in actuality sales is more about transferring conviction that this is the right thing for someone to do, and also be able to follow a process, and thirdly, being able to hold people accountable to what they said they actually wanted. Okay. People will respect you when you hold them accountable and remind them of why they said they wanted to get on the phone with you in the first place. Okay. They will thank you for it. They'll thank you. Thank you. I knew I needed to do it, but I just didn't really want to, like, go through all the just the annoyance of having to deal with the onboarding and stuff. So I was kind of putting it off. I mean, thanks for holding me accountable. I really appreciate it. Right. People will say that to you because you held them accountable, and then just let them go like, oh, I need to think about it for 6 months or a year. It's like people, like, they thank you, right? But what most people think is they think that by holding someone accountable, you're pressuring them. No, that's not what it is, right? You might feel pressure if someone did that to you, but someone who's extremely busy, someone who's extremely successful, they oftentimes need someone who is very firm to be able to like hold them accountable and be able to remind them, hey, like, we need to get this stuff done, right? So it's not like you're pressuring them, right? Because you're not going to pressure someone to paying you, $2,800, $3,000, $5,000 a month. You're more holding people accountable and making sure that they're putting themselves in the best position to be able to win long term. And in some cases, that's by making them do the uncomfortable thing, which that's what sales is. It's like making people do the uncomfortable thing that they know they need to do in order to actually like go. It's like, it's very similar, like, you getting your children to brush their teeth, right? It's like, it's the thing they need to do. If they don't do it, like, their teeth are gonna fall out, or they're gonna have like cavities, and like it's gonna lead to pain. But in a lot of cases, they don't want to do that, right? Because they just want to have fun, and they just want to, like, just exist. So you have to be a little bit firmer than what maybe like you'd want someone else to be firm with you, but you're holding them accountable in order to make sure that they're able to go and get the clean teeth they want. Next thing that we have to talk about is process. So the reason why I have this arrow here on this call is because I was reminded of why process is so important when I was shooting this bow and arrow so when you shoot a bow and arrow, you're generally trying to have a very specific form. You want to be shaped like a T. You want to make sure that your hand always goes back to like a similar spot, whether you use your thumb or whether you use your finger or whether you use like different like kind of guides. And you want to have your left arm like very, very similar, right? Because the more similar you can have this beat every single time, the more consistent your results are going to be. I'm sorry, I'm kind of yelling today. I'm very, very excited about this. I don't know, I just had like a burst of energy. It's very, very interesting. But when you have very consistent inputs, which in this case, like when you're doing sales, like make sure you're doing it very similar every single time. Like you should be asking similar questions. You should be presenting what you do very similarly each time. You should be closing very similarly each time because then you can start seeing, like maybe for example, let's say you do 10 consultation calls and you use the exact same line of questioning. If the line of questioning every single 10 times gives you a good answer, that's a good question. If it gives you a bad answer, you should probably take it out, right? But at least you can know what are you changing and be able to really treat it more like a science experiment rather than just kind of something that kind of happens every once in a while, right? That's what most people do. Most people just like kind of, if it closes, it closes. If they sign up with me, they sign up with me, right? But in reality, if you have a very consistent process, you can really reverse engineer how much money you want to make because you know how many consultation calls you need. And if, with the consultation calls, if you're doing the lead generation the same way, you should be able to have a very consistent like number of clients you're going to get. So you can actually reverse engineer how much money you want to do. That's why like people always ask like Bryce, how are you able to grow your businesses so fast, right? And how are you able to grow them very consistently? Because on top of speed, one thing about my business is that my businesses are very consistent, right? And that's very unusual. A lot of people have like this, like their business goes like this, but mine is generally it's either staying like a little bit growing, depending on like how fast I want to grow, or it's like very consistent, right? And the reason why is because I know my inputs and I know my outputs, and I have a lot of data. I spent basically the last like 3 years just tracking every single data point as meticulously as I possibly could, so I can actually predict the future. Because I know exactly what months are going to be like this, what months are going to be like this. So what month should I advertise harder? What month should I take the pedal off a little bit and kind of like I even know like when I should take my vacations because that's when like clients don't talk to you as much in certain months, right? But it's all about learning like the processes you have and doing it the same way every single time. Now, if you don't have a good process, like we can do that inside of our mentorship program, like we just give you scripts and how to actually use the scripts so you can be very, very consistent. And because it's kind of tough when like maybe you're kind of guesstimating what you should be doing and you don't really know for certain. So I mean, if you want help with that, we can definitely help you. Next thing is going to be marketing. So in this particular case, partnerships are generally going to be the easiest way. Now, I like using partnerships by number one, understanding really like LinkedIn and social media, right? Because once you understand like who are the people actually like referring people to you, you can essentially clone those people by going and using like demographic data inside of LinkedIn to be able to say, okay, so this kind of person owns this kind of company, or it's this type of person from this type of background, and this person's going to give me referrals from this, right? So you're able to go and actually send connection requests to people who actually fit that referral partner persona and essentially create like a list of people you're following up with who are then sending clients to you. And it makes things a lot easier and a lot more predictable to grow because all you have to do is start understanding that if you get the right partner and you can get them to actually respect you correctly, then you can say, okay, so this person gives me like 1 to 4 consultation calls per year. If I clone him and I get another person give me 1 to 4 consultation calls per year, that's already 8 consultation calls per year. If I do that 10 to 20 times, okay, now I'm sitting between 40 to 80 consultation calls for a single year. If you do 40 to 80 consultation calls in a single year, you are not going to have like any problem with clients. Like caveat to that is if you're doing the sales calls the right way. If you do a million calls but you're doing it terribly, um, I can't help you. I can't help you by like you watching some of our videos. Like we do have like videos to teach you how to like build sales scripts on like our YouTube channel. But if you're doing sales the right way and you get 80 consultation calls, you're gonna get a good amount of clients. Like our students generally have like a pretty high close rate. Generally, it's above 50% in a lot of cases, where 50% of like the time you're gonna actually close the deal within 3 to 6 months of talking to that person, right? So 80 consultation calls, that's really overkill for us. Really about 40 consultation calls is that's even overkill as well because I mean that's 20 clients right there if you're closing it just like kind of the standard average that we have our students go for, right? So Yeah, it's not necessarily hard to grow your business. You just have to be very precise, right? You have to line up the pricing. Like, how are you structuring your price? How are you packaging your service to really convey the value to the right people, right? So if you can do that, you don't need quite as many clients because you're able to go and get a much higher price point. So you need less clients to go and hit your six-figure goal. Next, to really understand like marketing, right? So like, who are the people that are going to like best receive your package, right? So for example, let's say that I'm just going to use a really simple example. Let's say that you're like someone that makes steaks, right? So you understand how to make the best steak. It sizzles, it's soft, it's really tender, it has good marbling, everything inside of it. That's your package, right? It's perfect. But then marketing is you need to make sure that you have your perfect product goes out to the right people. Because if you try and sell steak to someone who's like a vegan or a vegetarian, they're gonna hate you. You're not gonna sell any of them, right? So you have to understand how to take that package and get it in front of the right people. And the easiest way is by getting partners. So maybe you go and like you talk to restaurants, right? Or you talk to grocery stores who have people who like meat coming into the restaurant, right? So it just makes it easier. Next thing is sales, right? So in this particular case, you have to maybe like have like you have to sell them into like wanting to work with you. In the case of restaurants, the waiter, or it could be like the shelf space in like a store, right? Where you're putting in front of people and you give them the opportunity to buy, and you can like customize it for them. Like you say, hey, I'm going to cut it up in these shapes. I'm going to give you extra dress. I'm going to give you all this stuff. Blah blah blah. Right? Once you understand all three of those phases, making money becomes very simple. The problem is most people just either they don't package things or explain in the way that people actually want. They don't get enough leads or enough people who are interested in their service. So that means they only do like 5 consultation calls a year, which is very hard to grow a sustainable business off 5 consultation calls a year, right? You should be looking for like between 1 to 3 consultation calls per week in order to actually like really grow your business. Now, of course, it's not going to take you that long. Just price your stuff correctly. You'll be able to go. If you don't know how to price your services, we can help you. Okay. And also, this video is getting a little long. I know that generally Facebook doesn't like your videos being above like about 20 minutes a piece. I'm going and putting this out inside of our Facebook group right now. So I like to keep it underneath there, or else like the number of people it shows it to generally going to go down a little bit over time. So I'm going to keep it. I'm going to cut it right here. If you want some help growing your business, like maybe even trying to grow, it's just not quite growing at the speed of what you want, but you see that other people are growing faster because they have a proven process behind them. I just invite you to go and check out our like paid mentorship program. Like we're not a fit for everybody, right? Like some people it's just like it's just not a fit, right? But for the people that are, we generally get some very great results. And it's because we're very selective with who we actually accept, right? If I kind of get a feel like, hey, I don't think you're quite ready for this, it's just not going to work for you. I tell you right away. But if I do think that's going to work for you, I tell you, hey, it's going to work. This is why it's going to work. This is kind of like what are the different criteria. We go through it, and if it makes sense, we actually invite you inside the program. We give you the price information. You can get started. And also, if you haven't started a business for whatever reason, like you're still a good candidate. We do help people who have not started their business yet. Like that's normal, right? Most people like they're either just getting started, they've been started, but they're just not quite where they want to be. And it's all about like really shortening that time frame so you don't have to go and make mistakes that most people do. If you want to go and like see if you're a good fit too, go ahead and click the link. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. So I will talk to you guys soon. Hopefully, you have a great rest of your day. If you're not quite ready for a call, it's okay. We have a lot of different videos. I'll see you inside the next video. Take it easy. Talk to you soon. I think this is it. Well, it's December 29th. So it's the last Friday of this year. This year went by really fast. So hopefully you made the best out of it. If not, you always have next year. I would highly encourage you where it's like, hey, every new year is a chance for you to grow, but every new year is also a chance where a lot of people will miss out on their goals because they're not really taking the actions necessary to be able to go do it. Now, I'm not saying like life does not happen because life is going to happen to all of us, right? People get sick, we get sick, car breaks down, things happen. But if you really want to make this next year like the best year of your life, you have to lock in, you have to focus, you need to go and like really attack this thing. That's what it took for me. Like people talk about, like it wasn't like I just got lucky, right? You can't get lucky, 17 or how many years is this? We got started in 2015. It's what is that, 9 years in a row? Like you can't get lucky 9 years in a row. You know what I mean? It's almost a decade. So, but it's all because like this is what I focus on outside of like family, friends, dancing, bow and arrow. This is what we do. This is what it takes. I do a live video in this group once a week. We do like 3, 4 YouTube videos a week. Like I'm not saying you have to post, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but like if you really want to go and like hit your goals, like there's certain steps you need to take. Um, for me, one of those is just paying for mentorship programs. Like I kept paying for stuff, because I didn't really know how to like do this stuff. Like, cause like I number one did not know how to do sales, so that was very terrible. I was like very afraid that if I like told people like my price point and they didn't like it, I felt like I was like kind of like pressuring them. So it's like, oh well, I don't want to do that. I don't want people to be mad at me. But it's just like, once I started learning, it's like, okay, there's a lot of different misconceptions that I had that caused me not to grow my business. I didn't think people could, pay me more than like $500 a month, right? But it's just like once I started seeing that people could and were willing to do it, it's just like, whoa, you know? So I believe in you. I'm in your corner. That's why we do these free videos because, I really do want for you to be successful. But it's really up to you to kind of, take the stuff that we teach inside of this thing, you know, and attack, because it's there for you. Your competition's super low. Like people, like your competition is so low. We have 30,000 people inside of this Facebook group, but like out of 30,000, there's probably only a good like 2,000 people actually take action and attack their business. Okay. If you want to be one of the select few that actually grows and hits their goal, then keep watching this video. I also encourage you to book a call. Be one select few. Attack. Get this stuff going so you can change your life and you can go be where you need to be. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. Have a good rest of your day.